Welcome to Section 31, episode number 182. I'm Dan Hammond. No.
182? Are we going back in time?
382. Someone's going.
Are you Kelly from 7 years ago?
Yes. It's about that. Yeah. So we've got some catching up to do. It's been a while since we chat. We've got a couple episodes of Orville, a couple of final episodes of Discovery for this season. I went to a convention, ran a race. What have you been up to?
That sounds about right.
Saw Captain Marvel.
Saw Captain Marvel. Getting ready to see Avengers.
Saw
Shazam.
Oh, what'd you think of Shazam?
I really enjoyed it. It was delightful. It was
delightful.
Which is not a term that you could think of to apply to any of the other DC movies. Because they're all so dark and brooding. Even Wonder Woman, which, rightfully so. I mean, not because of Wonder Woman, but because, it's set in World War I, and that's not a bright and happy time. But, obviously that's by far best DC movie that they've done in that universe. But man, Shazam was so much fun. I had literally zero interest in seeing it when I heard about the concept. I was like, yeah, they're going to make a movie of Shazam. And then I accidentally saw the trailer in front of another movie when we and saw that Zachary Levi was in it. And I was like, I went from 0 to 100% invested in Zachary Levi's seconds. So I was very excited to go see him be all goofy, and it was totally good. It was heartwarming and not stupid. There was a little darkness in there, but appropriately so. Not so I highly recommend it. I don't know if it's one that you absolutely have to see on the big screen the way a lot of the big superhero movies are. It's probably still be fun, but I would totally catch it on Netflix when it comes back. I would even, if it weren't for the fact that Captain Marvel is still in the theater and we're about to get Endgame in the theater, I would probably consider going to see it again in the theater. I had that much fun.
Wow, that's high praise. The only thing I know of the character is from those. There was a series of comics. It was like everything was done in watercolor, super high end art. And he played a major part toward the end of that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That was fun. I wish I could remember what the name of that was. Anyway, well, that's interesting. I have, like you, no interest, and I am unfamiliar with the actor who you follow, so I don't know. Just my interest remains low.
He was Chuck. Did you ever see Chuck, or you've heard of Chuck?
The TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He was Chuck. He was Flynn Rider.
Ah, okay. The voice of Flynn Rider. That's interesting. Yeah, very good.
So yeah, he's a fun guy.
Okay. Nice. All right. So a thumbs up for Shazam. I'm not even gonna guess how many thumbs up you put for Captain Marvel, because that's been a while. I finally saw it about a week ago. I had some time, and I just ran off to the theater and saw it. So I figured,
nice.
Probably ought to see it before Endgame comes out.
You will want to see it.
Yeah, I dug the first post-credit scene. Didn't really need the second one.
Says the not cat person.
Yeah.
You know what? The last somebody pointed out, what the last post-credit scene needed. Spoiler alert. We're going to spoil the final end credit scene. It was so predictable, right? It was super, like, as soon as the cat hops up, you're like, he's going to hork up the Tesseract.
Yeah.
And they have hork, like a cat. It's kind of funny if you're a cat person. It's still funny if you're not a cat person, but it's not funny if you're Dan. But what it really should have ended with was him just sitting there and then reaching out and knocking it off the table.
Okay, that would have been entertaining. Yes.
That would have added like the extra button on the end of the joke to make it not super predictable. I'm sure it's probably difficult to get a cat to knock it off on command. Maybe if you told him not to do it, but I think he would sense the reverse psychology. You have to actually want him to not do it, like they can sense it. And that's probably harder to film. But yeah, that would have been funny. What did you think of the movie, cats aside?
It was enjoyable. It was a fun ride. The One of the things that they've managed to do with most of their characters is, hey, we've got a super powerful character. Let's put them in a position where they can't use their superpowers, so that they're not just going to beat everyone. And that certainly was not the case at the end of the movie. It was all right. Well, she's omnipotent. There's nothing she can't do. I'm looking forward to seeing how they put her in kryptonite handcuffs for the next movie. Otherwise, she's going to win and everything. But we'll see.
Yeah, that's been like a general response. It was like, well, geez, Thanos is screwed. Like, I don't know how that's going to work. But, she's kind of coming in after the fact. So it'll be interesting. We'll see in a couple of days.
Yeah. And I've got, I just saw it go by my email. I've got a ticket to see it Saturday morning at 6. So,
8 a.m.?
Hey, I got a good seat though.
I was just noticing that today. We were talking to somebody because I remember us mentioning, yeah, tickets are probably sold out on Friday. It was like, oh wow, these theaters added a bunch more showings, and it's like, wow, there is a 7:45 a.m. showing on Friday morning, and it just goes through all the way through the, and it's like, and even Friday night, we're talking about trying to go see that instead of gaming, and it's like, oh yeah, the usual times are sold out, but there's brand new empty theaters that they must have just added today for 12:45, 1:15, 1:30.
Yeah, I had my choice of 4 a.m., 5 a.m., or 6 a.m., or 7 a.m., or 8 a.m., or 9 a.m. So I went as early as I could and still get a seat that wasn't, in the first section.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Just means Friday won't be a late night one way or another.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's fun. What else have we been watching? Man, there've been a couple of Orville episodes, and we have one left.
Which, holy crap, I literally just finished watching that like 5 minutes ago, which is fun because I really liked how they, we joke a lot, but it's totally true about how particularly like the Berman era of Star Trek is all very much like, this is all really cool and we're going out and doing these things, but it's always going to come right back down to here. Like nothing really exciting is ever going to actually be permanent. Like time shifts get reset, like people who are dead come back to life, babies die or were never born, or turn into energy.
Most big things are reset by the end of the episode.
There's the big Star Trek reset button.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it felt like this was going at the end.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, cool. They're just going to keep her and she's going to be there. And then, like, even though this is kind of like Thomas Riker, but at least they're kind of getting along. And then like, oh, we're sending her back. Okay. And then no.
Yeah. So I we're kind of left wondering, does she have all the memories, or did you just have a feeling about what was going on? Have we got a time split? I mean, is this causing the mirror universe in the Orville universe, or what? I mean, there's already been one, time fracture, right? When I think it was like last season, when the time travel lady, the ship was supposed to be destroyed, and it wasn't. So that's new, and now we've got even further back in time. This is happening, so I have no idea what to expect next week. It could be, everything's wrong, right?
Yeah.
Captain, never was held back in his career, so he's already, captain of a better ship. She's captain of a different ship. People are scattered about. Maybe, the Kylons did their thing, or maybe they didn't. I'm ready for anything. I'm excited. It should be fun. And it should be the season, hopefully not the series, the season finale.
It looks like the season finale, yeah.
Yeah, I still haven't heard anything about it getting the show renewed, but I can't imagine not at this point.
Yeah, God, I would hope so. Man, there was a little bit of an alarm bell started to go off when they're at the briefing room and she's like, wait, we already know it works because, you know, I'm you and you're me. And I'm like, wait. And I'm like, I was like, that, you know, that's what happens. That's not what they point out as a justification for doing it. But I was like, my ease of, yeah, it's Star Trek, so everything's gonna get reset. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. It's probably not a big deal. But it's not Star Trek. They can do things.
Yeah,
that are interesting.
Honestly, because of that reason, I had no idea leading up to it. I was like, are we going to have two Kellys now for a while?
Yeah.
You know, I think I saw someone say, hey, what happens if they made a mistake? And old Kelly is the one that was sent back. But she had the wrong hair, so I don't think that's it.
No, unlikely.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I again, there was a lot of, okay, this is what's going to happen. Oh, they went that way. I like their argument about temporal, mechanics giving him a headache and would rather chew on glass at the beginning. That was great. It was very well put together, the whole thing from start to finish, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, really interesting. And like, again, things you have to, I had to get over a lot of conditioning, Federation conditioning that I've had from being, a Star Trek fan for so long.
I wonder how much they're playing on that on purpose, like,
I'm sure. Absolutely. So yeah, and that's going to obviously have repercussions. I may have looked up the IMDb episode list to refresh my memory for this episode, and I caught a very vague spoiler line for the next episode. So it's
I haven't seen any previews or anything. I've been pretty good about not doing that. So.
Yeah, I will just say we will not have to wait to find out what's going on. The way sometimes where they're like, oh, okay, that's a thing, but we're going to leave that and we're going to do other stuff for a couple episodes, and then we're going to bring that back around. Not the case.
Okay, very good. Excellent. All right, so that's our love for the Orville. And we're one more episode from that, and then we'll be done with the season. Yeah. We wrapped up quick. It seemed like it was. Didn't the season seem like it just plodded along at the beginning, and all of a sudden?
100% agree. Yeah. First 3 or 4 episodes was like, what's going on? What are, like, signals? Okay, and then just off to the races, man. I can't believe we watched 4 episodes since we recorded last, and like so much happened.
A lot of fantastic CGI work with the 2 ships in the center of the battle.
So pretty.
Interesting things that we saw in this episode that never really appear again in Star Trek. Like one-person drone or little mini fighters.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen very often. The little robot ships that wander around the hull and fix things. Where'd that come from? That was weird.
Like little drones,
little astromechs that popped out and fixed the Queen ship.
Oh, that was the Queen, though.
Yeah, sure.
She brought those with her.
But very pretty.
Oh my god!
I like the. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I really didn't, as much as I should be biased towards Section 31, and I guess I'm just trying to lead towards Giorgio taking over. But I really didn't like Leland all that much. But man, he had control. Probably one of my favorite parts of that finale. Count again, and all of the ships.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that was great. The quasi Borg like nanoprobes, coming at people all the time.
Yeah.
They used it to defeat them on the Section 31 ship, the ship number 31.
Yep.
And they used, they brought it back again to defeat him finally. I don't know why he had to be locked in the room. Maybe that was the only place that she would have enough time to do her calculations like Spock did.
Or she could, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Limit it to just that area.
Could be. Yeah. So that was great. I don't know what happened to the security officer, the Barzan. Barzan? No.
Who, Non?
Yeah. Yeah, she got like knocked out, and then we didn't see her again. So
Yeah, I think she's there.
okay, I don't remember seeing her again
Yeah,
after
I
that.
didn't see her. Yeah, I don't think we lost her, but I
But
think she's on Discovery. If she what, dead or alive,
yes, right. One way or another, she's no longer around at this time.
right?
Uh, I liked how Spock put the pieces together. I said, "Oh, that's the beacons. You got to go do the beacons. Were you leading the ship around, and the Red Angel was half the time you and half the time your mom, and you got to go do the things before we can go forward in the future." And then, but that was only five, and then it was like, well, then we got one to lead the ship, and then one final one, so we got seven.
Yeah,
It
that was
it
pretty
was a
cool.
very nice bow on that little storyline that started with the beginning of the season. So, congrats for wrapping that up nicely. That was
Yeah, and it ties back in together. Like, why was the angel only going to Spock? You know, like because she knew him. You know, that's why Burnham was tied into it. Yeah, I mean, speaking of neat bows, I loved how and we talked a little bit about it in the first half of the season, but now we know even more how all the shorts, almost all the shorts, tied directly back in. And oh my god, now I really want to go back and watch the Calypso episode
sure. Yeah.
again because that now we're like, okay, well, we have a lot more of an idea of how that ties in now.
Yeah. Someone had a great theory. So the ship has been sitting there in Calypso. The ship had been abandoned for thousands of years, or what? Right?
Yeah, like 1,000 years, I think.
Yeah. So is that 1,000 years after, season three is going to take place, or
Right.
my favorite idea, Giorgio takes the Discovery back in time and just leaves it somewhere for 1,000 years, and eventually she tells them where to find it, and then they find the ship, and it's just 1,000 years old now. And now they've got a really great computer AI, and they just keep going
Oh
off an adventure
wow, that would be
because
hilarious.
she's got to get back for her show. For
Right,
season
she's got to
31
get
show,
back
right?
somehow. That like set up bells for me too because like they interview Tyler
Right.
and like with the deaths of Leland and Giorgio, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Yeah.
slow down. But yeah, uh, man, and I loved the. I don't know if everybody immediately jumped to this. I didn't. I was like, okay, well, that's cool. That's a good place to do it. Now, what do we do from here? How do we think about? We have a whole season about trying to get back or whatnot. But yeah, like, or they stay there,
Yeah.
and this is Discovery now.
Right. Exactly. I mean,
The
th-
next generation.
it's far flung in the future. They're gonna be technologically behind everything, except maybe with the spore drive. Right. That may be a ticket for them to at least be able to get away from hundreds of years of technological advancements. Right.
Right.
But they're gonna have to find what's left of a federation if there's one. Could you imagine all the different races, the aliens that we've seen, you know, to get the same updated look, you know, maybe some new Ferengi, Cardassians. Where are they? I mean, are
Yeah.
they anywhere near? They were somewhere in the Beta Quadrant, so they could probably get back wherever they want because they've got spore drive.
Yeah. As
Uh,
long as they know
yeah,
where they go. Yeah.
they're far enough in the future that it will be after the Picard series.
Yes, definitely.
So now the Picard series is a prequel for this. Uh,
uh yeah,
they,
I
yeah,
mean that's only Picard series is only a couple of decades after TNG,
right.
and that's only 80 years after TOS. So we're only 100 years after TOS. This is almost 1,000. So
Yeah. So there's plenty of room to work. We don't have to. They're not going to be constrained by any kind of story canon. It's just the only thing they have in the future is Daniels at some point in the future in the Enterprise J. So
yeah,
they can work toward that. Um, I I'm hoping that this lets them go back and do what we said that the Orville was doing better, which is, you know, Star Trek episodes instead of
yeah.
space opera episodes.
Well, I could see this being a little bit more like Voyager.
Sure.
Now they're in a strange place, except for the trying to get home part. they're trying to find resources, and they're trying to establish their survival, and where do we go from here? Where are we? Who's here?
Even if there is a federation, right? There's going to be no records of them because according to their records, they were blowed up.
That's right.
They're gone.
And and who knows if the Federation is even like the Federation is now. It could have evolved into a military organization, or they got conquered by somebody else, or they
everybody got assimilated.
Everybody got assimilated. I was going to say they assimilated, or they joined in, united with the Klingons, and now they're like more militaristic but also exploration-y, or I don't know. There's so many possibilities. It's like the best possible thing I think they could do for a Star Trek series right now is get away from all of the canon. I mean, it's still there, it still exists, but with so much time passed, like it has so much less of an effect on what you're doing, and not being before anything, you're not constrained by having to lead up to anything. The way a lot of people were kind of nagging on Discovery in general for technology we're not supposed to have yet, events happening weird or differently, or whatever. I mean, I thought this season was fantastic in that perspective, with the way they kind of tied in Talos. And I think the last time we talked was the episode where or no, we didn't talk about that on the air. I was hinting about it to you on Friday night, but when God, I almost said Archer, when Pike has the vision of the chair. Oh my God, that was so good.
Yeah.
And I like when he went to Boroth, I was like, God, oh, what if the price he is like the whole chair? Is like, except it's too early for that. That's got to be later during TOS. But yeah, of course it's time crystal, so he flashes to it.
Yeah. So now, they set up the Enterprise with Pike in command and number one and Spock, such that I could imagine them doing just maybe a mini series.
Oh my God, I would watch the crap out of that.
That'd be fantastic. Just they've got a few years before Kirk takes over.
Yeah.
Recast Kirk and have the year or so before, the start of what was the first TOS episode, because clearly
no man has gone before.
They've been a crew for a while before that, so we could lead right up to that if we had to.
Yeah.
Granted, we're talking about going right back into the point where they're going to be constrained by stories, but
that's that's the point where I would say to do what you were talking about, where you go back and you start doing episodic, instead of big arcing things, because that's going to be problematic with the timeline they're in. You have a cool crew, you have a cool ship, we know them. Let's go do some Star Trek, and have some of the pre-continuing voyages.
The first third of a 5-year mission. Maybe the 5-year mission wrapped up with what we see on TOS. That's why we didn't get.
Yeah.
That's why we only got 3 seasons, because they were just about done.
Well, I always get my nitpicky. This is like tangentially. Like everyone's like, oh my God, they only got 3 seasons. It's supposed to be a 5-year mission. But you know what? The Galra episode on the stupid Native American planet takes a year. It's a year long. Kirk is on the planet for a year. So there's a 20% of your 5-year mission.
Yeah, and they don't show. It doesn't necessarily have to be a weekly. This is what happens on the Enterprise this week. It's like, this is what happens on the Enterprise this week, and nothing happens for 3 months, and then we'll pick right up again. Yes.
Yeah. I just watched the 3rd season of a sitcom called Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix. It's really funny if you haven't watched it. But they're getting, I was like, yeah, it's been a crazy month. And I'm like, oh my God, these 3 seasons have been a month.
Wow.
Which like when you look back over it, you're like, okay, yeah, I buy that, but it's, it's funny. Non-traditional television.
All right.
It's the future.
Yeah.
So having finished, what's your final rating here? What do you think of Discovery
I really enjoyed the season. There was a lot at the beginning that was painful, but I had the advantage of not buying CBS All Access for the first couple months, so
Yeah.
I blew right through a lot of that, and then I picked up for the exciting parts. So um, I would do the same thing again this fall when it happens again. I've got
Nice.
put something on my calendar to cancel my subscription in a couple of days. It's funny. Somehow I managed to sign up on the day after the premiere. Maybe it was the day before. So I've got a hold on the month after that. It worked out, so it was like exactly a month after. Whatever.
Wow.
So I've got some time to rewatch it if I want, which is fine. I'll have some flights soon.
I think I might do that.
Yeah, just especially
Yeah.
once it might be interesting to go back to the beginning of the season, knowing what we know and how everything's going to tie together, and seeing
Exactly.
where they laid the groundwork and
Yeah.
found, finding things. But I had a good time. I will probably again do the same thing next season, where I'll just wait for a couple of weeks, let a couple burn together, and then watch them through, and then keep my subscription through all the way through. That worked out well. I'd do that again.
Yeah. I think that benefited from like they had almost the exact same pacing as the first season, and so having such a great payoff, what I thought was such a great payoff for that, I was 100% willing to go with them this time and be like, okay, yeah, slow. I'm sure you're building like this is going to happen. This is going to have a payoff.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'll follow you, and I totally felt rewarded and justified. So. Yeah, really excited, and as is always the case with fun, time jumpy storylines, I'm really interested to go back and look at it again, and see where they laid all the groundwork. Same thing, episode or with season 1. All the mirror hints were there.
Yep.
So yeah, and plus, man, I just love like we say this every time the last couple of episodes, but I loved Anson Mount. He's so good.
Yeah,
I just want to watch him from the beginning again. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
I feel like we kind of ran all of that together, but I don't think there's anything particularly episodic about the last 4 episodes that we covered. It was all very, as we talked about, momentum wise, rolling into one another. So, man, I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, they did. I don't know how I feel about the wrapping everything up. There is no spore drive. There's nothing to see here. There's no discovery. Nothing to see here. Everybody died. You will not talk about anything because someone's gonna write a memoir and it'll leak out eventually. But that's how they want to play it. We'll assume everyone in Starfleet can keep their mouth shut for the rest of their lives. I guess. Maybe Section 31 has something to do with it.
It certainly puts and like there was another prediction that I think we were on the right track where significant events in this season are going to cause Section 31 to have to go a conceptual overhaul.
Yep.
But they also put a nice button. I can totally believe of all of those people, Spock being the most, disciplined in like, all right, I'm never going to talk about my sister ever again because she doesn't exist. She needs to not exist for her own safety.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's why this very well-known character who suddenly had a sister introduced has never ever mentioned it in all of this previous canon.
Yeah, and probably kept that blocked from any mind melds with anyone like Picard or anyone else, so they didn't get it either. All right, fair enough. What else should we talk about?
Well, there was one other big thing that happened since last we recorded. You were there.
That's right.
And while you were there, they aired something pretty significant.
Wow, because it's been a long time since we talked. I thought you were talking about the tournament I ran, which was awesome. That was a long time ago, too.
Also a long time ago. I was more thinking of that whole Star Wars party in Chicago.
Yeah. So
with a trailer and the title drop and holy crap, some bombshells.
Yeah. I did not sit on any panels, but they were streaming everything. So as I'm walking, getting my lunch and getting toward where we're going to do our race, I got to watch the whole trailer and the whole the panel and everything on my phone walking around.
Nice.
It was amazing because the previous day was I think Thursday. Everything was just packed. Everyone was just people everywhere. Even before the show opened, I got on the floor, was looking around with my exhibitor badge, and it was still crowded. Everything was ghost town during this during the episode 9 panel, except people like me who are walking around with headphones on, not
Staring at
looking
their
where they're
phone.
going, just walking around with their phone or sitting down somewhere with their phone or sitting in pairs sharing headphones. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I really enjoyed the video of the floor of people watching the big screen on the vendor's floor for the first time. Yeah, Caitlin, I had forgotten that it was streaming. Caitlin found it. She was watching it with Laura when I woke up. And so we got to see part of it. We saw Billy D and new Chewy. And so I jammed over to work and I got to see like the last 20 minutes streaming of the panel. I was like, all right, that was cool. And they're like, oh, and it's like,
yeah,
oh, holy crap. And I just had, because I wasn't going to Celebration, it was totally not on my brain. And so I didn't think about they're going to drop a trailer. We haven't seen a title yet. It wasn't until they came up and it split with the words coming. It's like, oh crap, this is the first time we're seeing this.
yeah.
Man, that's a really big spoiler to put in your first trailer, I think.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even let people, have any time to think about, oh, was that really Palpatine? Because it was somebody else? No, it was.
and then he comes out.
Yeah, he comes out and it's like, yep, it was me. It was me. They just played the recording again from before. Anyway, let's play it again.
But man, yeah, I mean, I still feel like they're probably head faking us. Like it's going to be some, it could be any number of things.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like, I immediately thought of The Last Command.
Oh yeah,
because that felt totally reminiscent of going to Endor and being there where the star finally was, where he died, and like his presence kind of haunting her, even if it wasn't like conscious force spirit. But
yeah, and if I can imagine him taunting her from them, and then she just does something a bit evil, and then you get that laugh. That's perfect. Yeah. Tell you what though, speaking of laughs, Lando on the Falcon, that was just so fun.
Yeah,
having a good time. It's like, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to see. That's great.
Yeah, and I love like everybody combing. I told coworkers like, how are we supposed to work after that? But it took like an hour after that was live, and the meme got posted from Solo of Lando, I'm gonna give my ship back, and Han, over my dead body, and then the laughing the shot of Han laugh there, Luke, whatever his name is, Lando in Rise of Skywalker laughing.
That's funny.
Oh man. So yeah, wow, a lot of good stuff in the past few weeks. That was pretty cool. I really didn't regret not going to Celebration until about that moment.
Well, I'll tell you,
which was pretty exciting.
So I've been going and doing these events at Celebration every 3 years and then every 2 years, and our participation has been kind of going down. I won't sugarcoat it. We turned away 20 teams on our first day, so we were packed at 100 teams.
Wow.
Second day we had 99 teams, and the last team was 8 people, and I should have broken it into 2 teams, so we'd have 100 again. The third day, which is the family day, usually we were happy to get 50. We had 87 teams. It was the most successful we've had. I mean,
that's incredible.
Started. I mean, yeah, I think the first time we did a race, we packed out as many as we could, but this was we ran out of supplies. We couldn't have any more teams because we ran out of supplies. So that was fantastic. That fact made the fact that they decided to have Celebration every year a little less painful. So next year we're going to be back at Anaheim, and the folks that are putting the convention are contacted there after we, it was over and we said our thanks. He said, "Yeah, we're looking forward to working with you again next year." We're like,
fantastic.
Okay, I guess we'll be back in Anaheim again. So we're getting started.
Well, if it makes you feel any better,
Mm.
like I don't think they've actually said they're going to do it every year. I think they just said they're going to have one next year. And a friend of mine who does both of these pointed out, and I think is a very keen observation and totally a Disney move, is Celebration has been biannual. Well, yes, that too. Disney also has another biannual convention,
right,
called D23, and right now they're both on the same year, whatever this year is.
That is an excellent
odd number of years.
Yeah.
So now that we've having episode 9, we no longer have to have Celebration tied to the release of an episode, which is what it's always been. They have another one next year to offset it, get everything lined up, and then Disney has a convention once a year on either the same spot or wherever, probably the same time frame, and then that 1 year at C23, 1 year at Celebration, 1 year at C23, 1 year at Celebration, and they can just go.
See, that would be great. I would not complain about that at all.
Yeah,
I can see either one of those happening because I'm surprised that usually when they do every other year, the off year is somewhere else. Europe, Australia, Japan. So I'm surprised, but maybe they'll. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if they do that. If they come back and do Anaheim and then go do D12.
Yeah.
D20? D12?
D23.
D23. I knew it was a die size that we don't use. All right.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing of that, even as I was describing it, made me think of it is now that they don't have to sync it up with what they already announced as their release schedule filming wise. If they set it up like that, they can sync their films to the con schedule.
That is certainly true. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a little break, and waited a year or two. We do one next year, and then don't do a movie for a year or so.
Well, that's what they've said.
Yeah.
They've said after episode 9, they're going to wait a bit to cool off. Poor Solo gets blamed for it, but I think they were dumb and booked those too close together. But I think they would have been fine doing a Star Wars once a year, but cramming that up to 6 months was bad. Regardless, if they do that, they have a Celebration next year in 2020. They have the next film in 2022, and then do every 2 years for their movies synced with the con. They're probably good set for a while.
Do you think we'll get Kenobi in 2022?
No. I think it'd be the next one after that, if anything. Well, I think we'd probably get the Boba Fett movie. If that's still, although that may not be a thing anymore if they're going to do The Mandalorian, which they've
really played that up.
It's obviously going to happen. Yeah.
Everything I saw was the description of the trailers, and the footage that they showed was just fantastic looking.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that too. I will be canceling my CBS subscription and starting a Disney subscription because there's going to be enough to watch.
They are really bringing it more than any other new subscription service that I have seen. Man, they are leveraging the crap out of everything they have to offer, and they have a lot. Man, I'm totally psyched for the Hawkeye series. And the buddy cop movie series that we joked about and is actually going to happen with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's
Bucky,
awesome.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'll get to catch up on Clone Wars, which is apparently coming back again because they didn't wrap it up nicely, and they have more people willing to pay for that. So that's great.
Yep.
I never did catch up from the end of that, so I'll be able to watch that, finish off Resistance again, and this new thing that I've wrote puzzles for, and I have no idea what it's about. Yeah. So,
lots of content. We got lots of that.
It reminds me of like when I was little, and the Disney Channel was something to have. If you had cable, Well, yeah, you have the Disney Channel
Yeah,
on
if you
top of
had
that.
the Disney. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
now we'll have the Disney Channel. All right,
Premium channels.
very good.
All right. Well,
That's plenty. We had a great time. I'm looking forward to disappearing on a boat in a couple of weeks for a week. I'll let you know how that goes, and then
nice.
a couple of weeks after that, we've got Columbus and Origins is coming up, so I'll let you know how that goes. Month after that, we've got Gen Con coming up, so that should be entertaining. Um, there's got to be something in between there. Oh, we've got a regional coming up.
I
The
was
week
going to say we're just
yeah.
a week from this weekend. We've got just under 2 weeks. We've got our 1E regional, which I'm excited about. I thought I had pre-registered and I had not, so I'm glad Johnny sent out a reminder. So I got
Did
to
he
do
relocate
that.
it to his place?
He did, and
Okay.
that's also good to know because I totally would have been sitting at Arby's.
Oh, I probably would have.
Was.
So we're gonna be heading toward the airport that day. So I was gonna stop in at Arby's and say hi, but no one would be there. So now maybe we'll stop in at Johnny's place.
Awesome. Oh, is that the day you're leaving for the boat?
Yeah. Our flight's in the
Nice.
evening, so we'll just swing by and say hello. And it's probably gonna be a bit much for me to play a game, but we'll.
Well, we're drafting first, so
Maybe I can take like an Uber down there and draft and play a few games, and then pick me up. That seems all right. Very good. Then let's wrap this up, and we'll. I don't know what we're gonna have anything to talk about by next Monday, but we'll do our best to have a show 2 weeks in a row and see how that goes.
well, there's that movie thing that we're going to go see, so
Oh,
we could
yeah.
probably talk about that.
I'll be awake by then. Yes, very good.
Fantastic. Well, that's all the intelligence we have for this week. That's a lot, though. So I hope that's sufficient, even though we didn't talk about Dan's tournament that he actually ran.
Dude, I had a great time. I narrowly lost in like the second to last round to Chris, and that was my only loss. And he had a loss too, but since he beat me, he went on head to head the tin draft. That was so much fun. We'll definitely do that again.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was great. I didn't play a 2E, and Tribbles was just a big table of rollicking good time. I think TK played rescue and ended up winning. But yeah, congrats to Chris for coming out and winning, and TK for Tribbles, and Johnny for hosting. It was a great time, and we got to see Maggie flew out, and a couple of locals came out. Unfortunately, JD had some car trouble, couldn't make it.
Oh man, what a bummer.
Yeah, I know. We'll have to do something again before he pulls up stakes and disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, hopefully we'll see him at the regional coming up, but we'll definitely do something otherwise. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
And I'm Sir Dan.
And I'll remind you all to expand your power in the future universe.
Yeah, I'll just draw to end and see what I get.